Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm grateful and ecstatic to share with you another episode of Boss Talks, where powerful creators come together to uplift the universal consciousness. My name is Jadeverett, aka the Smoothie God, and today I have a very special guest on the show today, a divine brother. I've been knowing this man about 3-4 years now. He's made a big positive impact on my life, and the path that I decided to take. With helping people and helping people to become the best version of themselves. And I just want to introduce the author of Don't Be a Dumb Jock, how to be a superhuman being, and Johnson. Welcome to the
That's
show.
right. That's right. That's right. Thank you, Jay, for inviting me. I really do appreciate this opportunity.
Man, thank you, man. Cause it's like the vibe that you just give, and it's like we ain't even really talked in a minute, and it's like I just know you've been on some heat. I just know you've been uplifting people and just doing your thing, just grinding, trying to help the world be a better place. And so, we can go ahead and jump into it. Like, what got you started on this? Like, what really got you into writing books and, into fitness, and what really sparked this journey for you?
Long story, man, and I can go all the way back to my childhood, and my father was an athlete, my mom was a coach, and so I'm pretty sure that I get it from my genetic pool. So that's probably where we could start, and then from there, as a childhood, my father was murdered when I was 4 years old, and so it put me in a position to have to depend on myself as a young man early on. And so I had to learn how to make decisions, learn how to think for myself and think for my own future. And so early on, my mom, she introduced me to football when I was about third grade or so. I was always playing sports, but officially I started playing flag football in third grade. So from third grade, which was about maybe 11 years old, until I graduated from high school in Shreveport, playing two sports, went to Grambling State University, played for Super Bowl MVP Doug Williams for 4 years there. After graduating from Grambling, I decided to go straight into my graduate school course. And so I got a master's in kinesiology. And from there, it's been about being an entrepreneur and using the education, the experience that I have in order to do what I've always done, be a teammate, be a good teammate, be a good person, surround myself around good people, and then we all lift each other up. So I want to do my part. I've been an athlete, been training, been working out, been eating right, fruits and vegetables, drinking water since I was a kid. And so naturally it just progressed into childhood obesity was a big deal, say 10 years ago, where a bunch of students, or Michelle Obama, she had an initiative that introduced childhood obesity on a grand scale. And so I was just coming out of graduate school, and I jumped on that wave and decided to start a fitness program, introducing the kids to some of the basic fundamentals that I had been introduced to as a kid, as an athlete, as a college athlete. And I saw that there was a huge need for it. And so I was in Louisiana at the time that I started my business. I eventually moved to Dallas, Texas. That's where we met. And it's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride. Some people say a wild ride. Some people say you've been traveling through or down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And you just never know how deep the rabbit hole gets. And so I'm in the rabbit hole, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Man, that's so dope. It's like something really stuck out to me, like like the childhood obesity, and it all really starts with the food and what you put on your fork, and and it's like it's the stuff that people need to hear. It's like eating fruits and veggies, becoming superhuman, tapping into that power and using your experiences and like things that you've been through to get to the next level. And it's like, it's just so dope, man. Like, just appreciate you for, like for taking that, choosing to take that step to help uplift the consciousness and to help and do your part, because we need more people like that.
Yeah, it's become so part of the reason, another element of that healthy lifestyle that we're talking about is the mental part. And so as an athlete, you have to have a certain level of confidence in yourself in order to be successful. And so as I started to do my research into the health and fitness space of, just normal, regular, non-athletic children, they were promoting, putting the emphasis on the food. They were not putting as much emphasis on the exercise part, but they were totally neglecting the mental training. And so part of the reason why I was such a successful athlete, part of the reason why I train my kids and the kids that I train are so successful is because we practice a lot on the mental mindset and how to overcome obstacles, how to perceive objection, how to delay gratification, concentration, focus.
Yeah.
And when you do that as a child, when you can introduce those elements as a kid, you have a 12-year-old, 13-year-old that can that is more confident in themselves. So I put a lot of emphasis on the mental as well as the eating the fruits and vegetables and the exercise portion of it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And like, and it's like, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like, we work together in the program. I work with you in the program for the 8 weeks, and it's like, you're doing the meditation, you're doing the yoga, or I'll say I'm doing this on my own, and like, I'm evolving myself. And then like when I start to work with you, and I see like we in here like with these kids, we're doing the exercises, and then we get them to meditate for like 2 minutes, and then like it just blows my mind. And how like when you bring out the skate buds, and it's like how they look. Some of them look at them, they're like, I can't do this. Like, this ain't for me. I can't breathe. I'm big. I'm scared. Whatever the case may be. But it's like,
Right.
like actually you sitting with them and like, telling them you can do this, and like, slowing them down, showing them the ropes, and like getting them to like slow down and actually believe in themselves through meditation. And then like you can see the changes from week 1 to week 3 to week 5 to week 8. And it's like, the program is top notch. Like I didn't been through the program. Aaron did the program with me. First off, like we was there, like, and I'm going through the skate buzz. I'm like, it's not easy, to really connect the mind, body, and emotions, as you say. And it's like, that's literally like the most important part to be successful in anything, like that mental part, and believing in yourself and knowing that, and like, and believing that you can do it. I can do it. I am strong, like really telling yourself this and believing it, and it's like, I can see the impact and the mindset that you implant on these kids. And this is dope as hell, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And see, and so I've had some great coaches, and I wasn't always the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, but when my coaches believed in me, when they looked at me a certain kind of way and believed that I could do it, then it automatically gave me a boost of self-confidence, a boost of energy. And as well, I've had coaches that didn't believe in me, and that plays an effect on your psyche as well. And so as I created this program, the skateboards program that you mentioned, as I created that program, I definitely wanted the kids to have the feeling that their coach, the person that was in front of them daily, believed that they can do it. Even if they had never done it before, even if they never tried to do the skateboards before, the whole object was to prove to them that even if you don't believe in yourself, even if you are surrounded by obstacles and you still can overcome those obstacles, and you still can. And so that's what the skate buzz does. It proposes a challenge, and anytime we are proposed a challenge, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, then what is your first response? And through my 10, 12 years as a skateboard trainer, skateboard coach, the number one response was always, I cannot do it, okay? And so if I go into a scenario and I have 30 kids and 30 kids are speaking out loud saying, I can't do that, I can't do that, then my first response to them is, because I know that this is an automatic response.
Yeah.
This I can't do it has nothing to do with the skateboard. It has everything to do with they're automatically responding like this every time they come up against a challenge, okay? So I taught school, I taught some kids reading, how to read, and, you know, a lot of kids don't particularly like to read. So, you know, when it came time to take the standardized tests, and some of the kids had failed the tests, you know, numerous times, you know, just them repeating to themselves that I can do it,
Yeah.
change their energy, change their trajectory. So so that's one of the main components. And then with myself, so, and as I continue down this rabbit hole, as I continue to evolve, you know, I'm coming up against obstacles, you know, that initially maybe 10 years ago I would have said to myself, I couldn't do that. That would have been my first initial response. But the more I put myself to the test, the more I challenge myself, the more I continue to talk to myself in a certain kind of way, feel a certain kind of way, think a certain kind of way, the more I see it works for me. I look back and I've overcome obstacles that I remember saying to myself, like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I look back and I've done it, or I'm still doing it. And, you know, it's all about, and what you're telling yourself, what you're thinking to yourself plays an immense part on the result. And so I talk a lot about that in my book, because even when you see athletes, professional athletes, you can listen to them or you can listen to 10 professional athletes talk about themselves, and within their presentation, you will be able to see if they actually believe in themselves. You can not the ones that's arrogant, not the ones that's faking confidence, but the ones that truly believe in themselves. Yeah. They have a certain kind of conversation. And so I wanted to bring that conversation to athletes all over the world, and to the normal kids that are not necessarily thinking about athletics, but the more you train, the better you get. So it's a lot of just overcoming obstacles. It's a lot of just believing in yourself. That's a part of health as well.
Yeah, and like the self-talk, you know, self-talk is important. Like the stuff you say to yourself is the most important. It's like how you were saying, like you have coaches that believe in you have coaches that don't believe you, and you know, and it's not just coaches, it's people around you, it's family, friends, right, teachers, whatever the case may be. And it's some that do believe in you. And it's like, when people do believe in you, you do get another confidence, you do get an extra boost, you know. And it's like on the other end, it's like if people like downplaying you, it's hard. It's like you do feel discouraged. It's like it's hard to feel like you can do it, but it's like it's all a program. You know, it's all things that we've been given, and it's like people only respond to you how they respond to themselves. And so like people really will project their fears, their doubts, their anger, or whatever the case may be. And it's like when you do that to kids on a young level, that really infiltrates the mind. And it's like it really affects like kids from the ages of when they can just be conscious and aware to when they're 60s, 70, and they become like big babies. And like, what you about to say?
Well, yeah, because so now we're talking about kinesiology. Now we're talking about biology. Now we're talking about the physiology of the body and how to program. And so that was so imagine being an athlete, right? And you're getting the best coaching. You're getting the best mental coaching, the best physical coaching, the best training, okay? But you don't necessarily believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have an athlete that's not necessarily getting the best training. They're not necessarily eating the right foods. They don't necessarily even care as much. And then you have somebody that comes along and implants a seed of self-confidence. And so, believe it or not, and that's why you sometimes see the best athletes don't always win.
Yeah.
It's because they didn't train. They had the talent naturally.
I got two in mind.
But they didn't train.
Yeah, no, and it's like you say that, and it's like I got two in mind. It's like it makes me think about Jimmy Butler. Didn't have all, it's like didn't have all the best training, and it's like it seems like somebody came along the way and gave him that boost, because it's like you start working, you start grinding, It's like you start to become that person. But it's like you also have these people that are like super talented and like, they work hard, but it's like it reminds me kind of like James Harden. It's like he cold as hell, but it's like when the time come down to it, it's like you never really know what you go get. And it's like it really does come down to like mental toughness. And like instead of Jimmy Butler, I'll go and just say LeBron, because it's like LeBron's mental toughness, especially now. And it's like working to it, because it's like everything isn't perfect. You don't just wake up one day, I have the utmost confidence in the world, and you just can do it all. It's like something you work on every day. You practice. It's like being in the gym. It's like you can't get swole. You can't get, you can't be the best track star, the best basketball player, just like playing video games and just thinking about it. You got to actually go in the gym and put in the work, do the drills, breathe. Actually like envision yourself doing this at the same time. And it's like what you're saying just kind of reminded me of that.
Now, all right. So now let's go a little bit further, right? So master's degree in kinesiology. I have a master's degree in kinesiology, okay? Guys or women like myself who are in the profession generally coach or train at the collegiate and professional levels, okay? Yeah. And so so that could have been my path, right? But as I travel around, as I talk to different professional athletes, as I'm watching the landscape of professional sports, okay? And this was the professional sports is the reason why I wrote the book. Yeah. And what I'm seeing, I see a lot. You can tell. You can. If you really pay attention, if you really know what you're looking at, you can tell which athletes have a mental coach and which athletes do not have a mental coach. Okay. Now, and we go back and forth about this all day long, right? And we talking about what athletes do you like versus what athletes I like. Okay. And a lot of times people go for the athlete that's not necessarily that's more flashy, but not necessarily mentally tough. And then the ones that are mentally tough but not as flashy, we kind of they're the underdogs. We don't necessarily give them as much credit.
Yeah.
And so you're correct. So a player like James Harden, player like who else? What other players that have come up short that you see? They always get there, but then something happens and oops, it comes up short.
Westbrook.
Exactly. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them in all over sports. Okay, sure. But then when you have a player like a LeBron, and LeBron, let me tell you, LeBron did not always have a mental coach.
Yeah.
He thought he could Debo his way through the league. He thought he could and he kept coming up short.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you go, okay, so what did the greats do? What does the Michael Jordans do? What does the Tom Brady's do? What does the who else? All these guys that you see championship.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they win championships back to back to back. What are they doing? They're mentally out training, outsmarting, out thinking, paying attention to more details than the athlete who just goes out there and shoots 1,000 jumpers. You're gonna shoot 1,000 jumpers, but when there's an obstacle in your way, when there's a challenge, when there's something that's as good or even better than what you think you are, that's when the mental training kicks in. And then the mental training pushes you over the edge.
Yeah.
And so anytime you see these guys, they trading each other, they going to one team to the next team, and we gonna get everybody together. And that has that's a good thought process, but we still have to train the entire team. Yeah. So then you got dynasty teams, okay? So we got these individual athletes that are not mentally tough or are mentally tough, and then you have teams. So you got a LeBron, he the best athlete on the planet. But then his team around him, there's some defects mentally, not physically, mentally. And so there's a lot of opportunity for growth in the mental fitness space, in mental fitness and performance. And that's what Don't Be a Dumb Jock is about. It's about helping the guys train, or helping the guys to train their mental performance, and their performance mentally is going to improve their physical performance, but we don't necessarily go about it that way. And so to go back to your point with the kids, so we talk about biology and we talk about programming. We're programming the kids to think I can do it at 6 years old, at 5 years old, at 7 years old. So at 17, we don't have to introduce I can do it. We don't have to introduce belief in self, okay? Physiologically, between the ages of 6 and 13, that's when we get the most of our programming, okay? So anything that happens between the ages of 6 and 13 is going to carry with you physiologically through the rest of your life. Your behaviors, your perception of things, your ability to make decisions or not make decisions. And so sports, again, going back to sports is one of the few platforms that kids, adults, teenagers can come to and start to immediately train their physical body, their mental body, and their emotional body just organically, okay? So anytime a person starts to exercise, whether they start at 6 years old, right now I train people that are 50 and older. Sometimes I train people that are 50 and older that have never worked out in their life. So physiologically, you can't take them through the same programming as you would somebody who's been doing CrossFit at the same age, okay? So it's the same way with the mental programming. The kids, we want to get them early. We want to make sure that they understand belief in self early. We want to make sure they understand discipline early. We want to make sure they understand teamwork. We want to make sure they understand their mind, their body, and emotionally, because these kids are going through a lot of things. Like I had a rough childhood. Like I mentioned, my father was murdered when I was 4. My mom was a single parent, 5 kids. So as a child, I had to accept a lot of responsibility early on. And it has an effect on me later on in my life. And so now I'm just now revisiting what did my childhood experiences have to do with me starting the kids fitness program, me working with the teenagers, me working with the 50 and olders, me writing this book. And it's all part of how I was programmed starting early. And so that's part of the new wave of fitness. You know, in 2021, if you want to get whole, that's what health is. If you want to become a whole person, you're going to have to not only attack the weight, the diet, the exercise, the mental programming, but you're going to also have to overcome some of the past programming that may not be helping you or benefiting you now in life.
Yeah, unlearning is sometimes more important than learning new aspects, because like it'll kind of like stop you from even exploring like new topics because you feel like you know so much, but based off your past experiences and past conditionings. And like it's crazy, like just to like we went around a few different topics, and it's like you could tell like I want to go on a few points, and it's like you could tell like the people that do get like that mental coaching and that people that have a good support system, because it's like we can just use LeBron, like he didn't always have that, and then you could tell at some point he got that, whether it was with D Wade or an actual coach hiring a coach or whatnot, and then he
Right.
became that coach for his team.
Right.
When you're talking about like the defects and like the different personalities, he became that, and you could tell in his team, because it's like you got JR winning the ring, you got Caldwell Pope, and it's like these people, like, it's like the people that they try to say like aren't always mentally focused and aren't always present, and it's about being in the present moment, like getting your body, mind, and emotions, like that's being in the present moment and like accepting what is. And so like you can always tell, like you could tell, and it's just like it's cool to see, and it's like it's cool to see like people actually like the transition like
Right.
to becoming that coach, because it's like, like you said, it starts between 6 and 13, and like the stuff you learn between 6 and 13, and even before that, and after that, it's like this becomes who you are. It becomes the traits and the attributes and the mindsets and the energy that you like carry on into the next phases of your life.
Yeah, you can always learn and relearn, but the thing about between the 6 and 13 is that you're perceiving. You don't have any information to go off of. Okay.
Yeah.
So you basically, whatever's going on, you just absorbing it. You don't even have really a choice.
Yeah.
You just absorb it, and then it affects you, and then you keep living life. And so again, so the book I wrote the book for ages 13 and up, because if I don't catch you between 6 and 13, if you don't program correctly between ages 6 and 13, then we have another block, 6 to 18, where you can still learn, you can still absorb, you can still, but you talk to some 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, you can't tell them nothing no more. Like, they know everything already.
Yeah.
And they go the rest of their life like that. Like, I already know everything. You don't have to tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. And so it's part of that. It's part of giving them a different level of education after 13 years old, because, right now, like I said, I'm working with some kids, and you would believe, you work with me, but some of the stories that these kids go through, I'm telling you, I had a childhood that was tough, but when you talk about mom murdered, daddy murdered, house burning down, almost, it's homeless, and it's just like molestation, it's just, it goes on and on. And so those programs, you really don't know, you don't have a feedback loop for that. You don't have something to come back with that, so you have to internalize it, and then you have to at some point readdress it with a different mindset, with a different mentality. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with the athletes. I wanted to show them that, once you start to exercise your body, once you start to exercise your mind, once you start to develop these innate abilities that sports teaches you, how to be disciplined, how to focus, how to concentrate, how to be a teammate, how to be a performer, how to work hard, it's teach you so much that the kids that don't go into sports, the kids that the teenagers that don't go into sports, they don't get these teachings until later on in life. And that's what makes you a superhuman. And so that's what makes you a superhuman. The fact that you, at an early age, have started to absorb good qualities, good behaviors. You start to be a disciplined person. You start to become more aware, and that's what the meditation and all of that is about. It's about having them become more aware. You don't know what they're becoming more aware of because I don't know what you're going through. So when you go for 2 minutes, I don't know what you got out of the 2 minutes, but you had to get something out of the 2 minutes. And so, if nothing else, a new exercise. So, yeah, man, it's a lot happening in the health and fitness space that is starting to become more mainstream, but it's really long overdue.
It's really long overdue. Like meditation, yoga, you know, like actually, like it's like actually becoming superhuman. It's like more of the most simplest aspects of life. You know, like knowing your purpose, being disciplined, staying focused, breathing, that awareness of yourself. You know, because like you said, like when you meditate and like you don't know what you're growing into awareness with, but you're just growing in awareness. And it's like that's a good distinction because it's like you want to grow in awareness. Like that's gonna help you to be more present with yourself, to be able to readdress those things that came up, because like you really do like that. That's these experiences that happen throughout life, they really do affect you. And it's like, you know, trying to just sweep them under the rug and like just hoping they just go away with time. And, you know, it's like just wishing it away. It's like, it does not happen that way. It's like, it's literally like, it doesn't happen. It's like, you have to sit with the thoughts. You have to sit with the experiences, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly, the terrible, the beautiful, no matter what it is. Growing in awareness with yourself will help you to be able to appreciate the things that you've been through, to help you to get to the next level. Because, you know, they say everything happens for a reason. And, you know, when you become your superhuman self, you choosing that reason for things to happen, instead of like, you know, it's like you don't have that feedback loop. But it's like after a while, you do have a mind, you do have experiences to, you know, bounce back off of these and, you know, come up with like how you should act and how you should feel. You know, you be able to become the architect of your life, like slowing down and observing those like past experiences to like become this new person that you want to be.
Right. And so kind of part of the reason why I was able to come to this awareness is because I started working with people 50 and older, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. Mm-hmm. And having conversations with these people, these older people, there was a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. And I became more aware of the woulda, coulda, shouldas as I started to dive into these conversations. And we talking about hundreds of people. So it wasn't like, it was like one woulda, one coulda, one shoulda.
It's not like a one-off thing. It become a pattern. You're like, oh shit, like.
Yeah, like I should have married this one, but I married this one. Like huge would shouldas. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, like, at what point, you know, do you compromise? At what point do you say, I want this, but I'm gonna settle for this. And then at what point do you look back and go, damn, I really don't want this. I should have did this. And so I was like, okay, and I'm internalizing this. I'm like, okay, what you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the woulda, shoulda, coulda guy. Okay.
Hell no, I feel you on that.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so how do I need to fix my program and again, it goes back to the programming. It's like, if you really didn't believe in yourself, it don't matter what you want to do. If you don't believe, you're going to settle, you're going to compromise, and I don't want to be looking back and be like, man, I should have married that girl. I was in love with her. I should have married her. But this one was a better, a safer option, or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
And I mean, these people were sharing with me like their deepest secrets, like, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And so living life to the fullest, taking risk, taking calculated risk, and jumping for what you want. And that's kind of how we end up right here today, because I wrote the book, say 2 years ago, and when all the Colin Kaepernick situation was going on, because I didn't feel like the professional athletes were living up to their superhuman abilities.
Yeah.
And so it disappointed me. It hurt me. I felt the wrath of those guys decide not to stand up for the community. And so, again, talking to these older adults, who've lived through Jim Crow, who've lived through the Renaissance era, who've lived through slavery, who are post-slavery. And they had some very interesting comments about Black men not standing up for the community, or Black men standing up for the community, not standing up for the community. And how did we get to the point where we don't stand up for the community? We don't stand up for each other. How did we get to the point? And so I was going through my call logs. We've been friends for a few years, and just wanted to reach out to some people who had encouraged me, who had been on my team, and who gave me energy to keep pushing and keep overcoming. And so that's kind of where the message is. It's in the struggle. It's in the details. It's in the overcoming. It's not in being compromised and complacent and sitting back and let somebody else do it. And, because then we got the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And so I got very motivated, super motivated. One of my clients, she told me, she was like, Aaron, she was a white lady, 80, she was 70, 75 years old. She said, Aaron, do you know in some circles, Black men can only serve us or entertain us? And I was like, they dumb jocks, and that pierced me, bro. That pierced my soul. Like, after we had that conversation, I couldn't just go back home and just sit on my couch and watch football no more. You know what I'm saying? I had to, especially with all the experiences I had and with training these kids, and it was just, man, that situation represented a part of a whole. Yeah. And the part that I didn't like was the lack of support from the community, from the athletes, and their abilities to use the things that we teach innately in sports to their advantage. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, that's why I wrote the book. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. It's crazy. It's like, no, that is a huge problem in the community, like the lack of support. It's like to progress and be to the next level and stage as a whole, we got to help each other. That's the whole point of this. And like, I was so grateful that you called me, man. It's like, you literally called me on my birthday. So that made it like, it was just crazy. I'm just like, bro, it's like, the thing is, like, you got to stay in contact with the people, like you say, that give you energy to keep pushing, to help you to overcome, and to help you to just keep being superhuman. It's like, we're a divine reflection of each other, man. And it's like, you literally, like, it's literally like the energy we put out into the world, we always getting it back, and it's like, it doesn't always show in the way that we would want it to show or what we think it should be, quote unquote, but it's like, it's always being reciprocated, and it just comes right when you need it. It's like they always say, like, God might not come when you want him, but he always on time. It is always on time, and it's like whenever you like just have those people around you, man, it just makes you grateful. And it's like, when you become one of those people, you're able to appreciate the people that bring that to you. And so, like, that's the even bigger part, because it's like that self-talk, and it's like we can't support each other because we don't support ourselves. We like a lot of the stuff that we do is just to do our own thing, is to get our own money and just live our own life. It's like we're not taking responsibility for each other, which is like we don't have to, but it's like if you want to see the world be at a better place, then yeah, we are responsible for each other. We are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. We are the divine together. We're all interconnected, like we're the
Totally.
universe. We're the universe divided and expressed in different forms. And so like for the consciousness to move forward, you got to feel the divine within you. You got to feel that confidence. You got to feel that superhumanness within you, and then you're able to give that energy and give it away freely without giving yourself away.
And so when I say don't be a dumb jock, of course there's an athletic, or there's an direct athlete correlation with it. But the ideas that you're just mentioning about the connection that we all have as individuals, as a collective, for us not to understand that, or for us to ignore that, or for us to take that for granted, is us as humans being dumb jocks. And so for us to be collectively thinking that when we met, it was for a reason, and what we were able to do, the time that we were able to do it together, was of a definite purpose. It wasn't for no reason. And so a funny thing happened. I went to New York a couple in August to promote my book.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, no, I went to DC. I was in DC for the March on Washington, the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And as soon as I hopped out the car, man, I drove 19 hours, okay, from Dallas to DC. Okay, it took me a day, 2 days almost.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about sleeping, whatever. And as soon as I got out the car, bro, I pulled my book out. I was like, hey, I got a black man with a book publication.
Yeah.
Man, the first black woman I talked to, she bought my book. She was like, oh, my son need that. I'm like, well, you don't know who I am. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't about that. Yeah. It was about the support of the community. And so that whole trip, I was just going around and I was getting so much feedback from our community, okay? Yeah. Now, when I come back to when I come back to Texas, to the South, I didn't get necessarily that same response, bro.
Yeah.
And we talking about surrounding yourself with this energy. And so I had to take a mental note of the feeling and the energy and the consciousness that I was around when I went to DC, Virginia, Maryland, New York. I was all up in that area. And the response from the Black community was different. And so that's why I was like, on your birthday, I called you. I'm like, and then when I came back to the South, I was like, I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, right? This is what I felt. So as soon as I came back to Dallas, I was at the gas station or something, and a black guy walked up to me and was like, hey, you got some change? And without even thinking about it, my perception said, man, fuck that nigga. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I just left New York where they was black pride, black man. And then as soon as I got down here, the spirit was like, man, fuck that nigga. Don't help that nigga. Right? Yeah. And I'm not like that. I'm not like that. You know I'm not like that. Yeah. So I was like, where did this come from? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? And it was like, man, that's the spirit down here. Like the spirit is.
I was thinking that when you said that. That's no, go.
Yeah, man. I'm talking about the spirit of
Texas. And in certain parts, no, that's real as hell. Oh,
and I was like, is that what I've been going up against? Because I'm thinking I'm young. I'm overcoming these young obstacles, but I never had been aware that there was a spirit of don't help that black man.
Yeah.
From black people.
Yeah.
And so again, just becoming more aware of the energy and just becoming more aware of myself, it's become more profound, man. And it's also directing my next moves in life and how I want to approach it, because I don't necessarily want to be, like we said, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. I coulda went, I coulda, shoulda, I woulda, shoulda, but I stayed, and I was aware that these people were not on my team.
Yeah.
But I stuck around them anyway. And then, so I just wanted to share that with you, man, because that's why I called you on your birthday, because I wanted to be more intentional about promoting black men. And I saw the emails that you were doing, checking the emails, and just reaching out and being like 100% like, man, how you doing? What's going on with you? And just having that and just having that as a part of my spirit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man.
I appreciate you for that, because like you gave me, and this was even even more of a reminder. Like, thank you for that, because it's like I'm gonna take that into like my relationships and how, like, how I check on people. And it's like you have to. It's like that awareness. It's like really like being aware of the people around you, and like not just in like close proximity around, because it's like we are energetic beings, and our energy just travels, it flows, and it's like you never know what you're absorbing. Like you were saying, like at 6, you just absorbing, and it's like being in the South. And like it really will, and it's like I never really thought about it like that, but it's like it is a spirit of that in a lot of places in the South, in Texas, in like Louisiana, in Washington, Cali. It's all around. That energy is all around, and you can clearly see it. It's clear as day. It's not hidden. Everybody, it's like you can see what's going on. Look at the news. You can tell.
Right.
Yeah, that was just such a great point, because it's like that awareness, and then like, once you have that awareness, like being genuinely you and authentically you, and saying like, nah, them people ain't for me, and then like, nah, but that person's for me, that divine being is for me, and we go build, we go share this energy, and we go keep helping each other evolve to the next place, and nah, that just got me excited. Like I'm lit after that.
Yeah, man, and you didn't have that spirit, man. And I worked with, bro, man. I mean, in the last, like I said, 12 years of me doing this program, the skateboard program, I've had several of my friends. I've had several strangers. I've had several people, interns, and all kind of come work with me. And like I said, a lot of times it has to be the right spirit.
Yeah.
Because I don't want whatever spirit that is, I don't want that spirit to rub off on the children. And so you were, like I said, you were a great energy to be around. You were a great energy for the kids. And so it was a pleasure working with you. And like I said, I just wanted to reach back out to you and not let that the relationship, just dwindle away, because it's so important that we keep these relationships, and you never know where they could take it. Like I said, we're doing a podcast now, and I didn't expect that when I called you. So thank you, man.
For real, man. This whole like connection, it's just been like an eye-opening experience, even from like, from the first time where I came and we did the skateboard program, you put me through it, and then I started working with you and putting the kids through it to the podcast. And bro, I'm looking forward to how we build and like pushing each other to the next level. Like, man, I'm just forever grateful. And as we wrap up, man, like let everybody know where they can follow you at, and let them know where they can find this book. Like let them know where they can find Don't Be a Dumb Jock, because we need to stop being a dumb jock and like tap into our superhuman abilities.
Totally, man. Thank you again, Aaron Johnson Fitness Club. We got the book hot off the press, Don't Be a Dumb Jock.
Just reading it on the phone.
How to be a superhuman being. And we just want to encourage and inspire people to do the reprogramming where necessary, to become more to become more vibrant, become more conscious of our beings. And so you can go online. Amazon has the book. You can go to my website, aaronjohnsonfitnessclub.com. I'm on all social media handles, at Aaron Johnson Fitness. And yeah, we're gonna be, and we just getting started, man. We just getting started. We just, you know, a lot of what we were doing was research. That was like the last end of my research, what you saw, what you were going through. And so now we're gonna be starting a virtual after school program in the next few months. I'm working with some people right now to do a virtual after school fitness program. We'll hopefully incorporate the skate buds, working on a skate bud patent. We should be finishing up that by the end of this year, beginning of next year. And we keeping it going, man. It's big business, man. It's big business. It's we evolving, and we're getting smarter. We're getting more efficient, and our networks are getting bigger and better and more sharp. So thank you, man, again, for being a part of that. Thank you for allowing me to use your platform to spread this message, and it's gonna be greater.
Man, appreciate you, man. This was wonderful, man. I appreciate this. I got so many gems, and I'm feeling encouraged and uplifted after this, and like man, just excited, man. But thank
Yes,
y'all
sir.
for taking y'all precious time and energy to come and join us, man. Hope you got something out of it. We'll see you on the next go round.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.